In this video, I'll go over the steps to troubleshoot two common causes of issues with WordPress plugins. These are plugin conflicts and caching issues. They most commonly come up when installing or updating plugins, or when updating WordPress itself. First, let's try to understand why these issues come up. If you look at something like your cell phone, where installing a new app seldom causes issues with another app, apps run in what's called a sandbox, so each app runs completely independently. WordPress is quite different. Each plugin runs in the same global space. This gives plugins a lot of power, allowing them to interact by accessing each other's internal functions. The only downside is that plugins have the ability to, mostly unintentionally, step on each other's toes, breaking each other without really meaning to. This breaking is what we refer to as a plugin conflict. The second type of issue is a caching issue. Your web browser, server, and even your internet service provider work together to make your browsing experience as quick as possible. One common technique to do this is called caching. Certain files and bits of code are stored in different locations, like on your local computer, so it doesn't need to be re-downloaded each time you access a page. This can cause problems when old code that's been cached somewhere is running at the same time as newer code. This old and new code running together can cause problems because they just don't fit together. We'll cover caching issues first. These are usually the easiest to solve, and cache clearing is a vital step in resolving plugin conflicts too. Let's look at the different places your code can be cached. The first and most common is your web browser. Clearing cache here is fairly easy. If you're using Chrome, click on the More button, which is just 3 dots. Then click More Tools, and then Clear Browsing Data. In this next window, you'll see that you have the option to remove cached images and files. Uncheck every option except this one, and make sure that the beginning of time is selected up here. Then click Clear Browsing Data. If you're using a different browser, then just search for Clearing Browser Cache, along with the name of your browser in Google. The first result should tell you what you need. Once you've done that, refresh the page where you were having an issue and see if the issue has resolved itself. If it hasn't, then you can go on to clear any server cache. Server-side caching comes from a few places, most likely a caching plugin like W3 Total Cache. If you have a caching plugin installed, try just deactivating it and retest the issue. If that does fix the issue, then re-enable the caching plugin and figure out how to clear its cache. You should be able to read about this in the plugin's documentation. One other place to check is if your web host offers any caching. For example, at Site Origin, we host all our sites with WP Engine. So in our dashboard, we have an option to purge all caches. You might need to check with your host to see if they're implementing any server-side caching that you're able to clear. If you're still getting the issue, then it's time to look into any possible plugin conflicts. What you want to do here is get your installation down to as basic of an installation as possible by temporarily disabling all the plugins that aren't essential to the test. So in our case, we're having an issue with Site Origin Page Builder. We can start by disabling all non-Site Origin plugins. It might also help to switch to a default WordPress theme. These are usually fairly stripped down, and you can be reasonably sure that most plugin developers will test their plugins with default themes. Another important step before you recheck the issue is to clear as much cache as possible. At very least, clear your browser cache. I spoke about this earlier in the video. As you can see, the issue has now resolved itself. The plugin that was conflicting with Page Builder has been deactivated and is no longer causing problems. Now that we know it was another plugin causing the problem, it's time to find out which one. We'll start by re-enabling the plugins one by one until we find the one that was causing the issue. After we re-enable each plugin, we can check if the issue has returned by reloading the relevant page. This tells us which plugin was causing the issue. So now we know which plugin was breaking things, although it was probably fairly obvious from the title. You can report the issue to the two plugin developers whose plugins are conflicting. Your other option is to find an alternative plugin to the one that was causing the conflict. Of course, if you're still having an issue, then it's possible that you found a bug, which you can report to the plugin author. So that is the guide to troubleshooting WordPress issues. Even if the issue you're having isn't with a site origin plugin, the same technique can be used to diagnose issues with just about any WordPress theme or plugin. I'm Greg from Site Origin. Thanks for watching and happy building.